The gas station was one of those forgotten places you pass without noticing. Somewhere in rural Nebraska, off Interstate 80, where the prairies stretched endlessly in every direction and the only landmarks were grain silos on the horizon. I stood by the pump, holding a bag of chips I'd bought inside, watching my family's SUV pull back onto the highway. They were laughing. I could see them through the rear window. My brother Jason had his phone up, recording. My sister Ashley was doubled over. My mother was shaking her head but smiling. My father was driving, accelerating smoothly back into traffic. And I was standing there, watching them leave me. It took 30 seconds for reality to set in. They weren't circling back. They weren't pulling over on the shoulder 50 yards down to let me catch up. They were actually leaving. Driving away. Disappearing into the distance while I stood in a gas station parking lot in the middle of nowhere with no phone, no wallet, and no way home. The prank had worked perfectly. My name is Sophia Martinez. I'm 26 years old, and that moment at the gas station was the last time I saw my family. Not because something tragic happened, but because I made a choice. Standing there, watching their SUV become a speck on the horizon, I understood something with perfect clarity. This wasn't a prank. It was a message. The road trip had been my mother's idea. Family bonding, she'd called it. 7 days driving from Seattle to Chicago for my cousin's wedding. My parents, my 2 siblings, and me, all crammed into one vehicle for a week of forced togetherness. I'd known it was a bad idea. I was 26, had my own apartment in Seattle, worked as a junior graphic designer at a marketing firm. I had responsibilities, deadlines, a life that didn't revolve around my family's schedule. But my mother had insisted. Sophia, you're always so busy. So distant. This is important. Family is important. You need to be there. The guilt had worked. It always did. So I'd requested the time off, packed a bag, and showed up at my parents' house on a Saturday morning in July, ready to endure a week in close quarters with people who'd never quite understood me. The first 2 days had been tense but manageable. My father drove. My mother navigated. Jason and Ashley, both younger than me, 23 and 21, sat in the middle row, engrossed in their phones, occasionally making jokes at my expense. I sat in the back, alone, reading, trying to make myself small and unobtrusive. Sophia, can you not be so antisocial? My mother had said somewhere in Montana. Put the book down. Talk to us. This is family time. I am talking. When there's something to say. That attitude is exactly why you don't have friends, Ashley had muttered. I have friends. Work friends don't count, Jason added. Real friends are people who actually like you. My parents had laughed. Not cruel laughter, exactly. Just the casual amusement of people who'd decided this was funny rather than hurtful. Who'd chosen to see my siblings' comments as teasing rather than bullying. I'd gone back to my book. The pattern continued. Every meal stop, every hotel check-in, every conversation somehow circled back to what was wrong with me. Too quiet. Too serious. Too focused on work. Not fun enough. Not spontaneous enough. Not enough like Jason and Ashley, who were sociable and funny and made my parents laugh. By day 4, somewhere in South Dakota, I'd stopped trying to participate. Just answered when directly addressed. Smiled when expected. Counted down the hours until this trip would be over and I could return to my actual life. That's when Jason had suggested the prank. We'd stopped at Mount Rushmore. I'd gone to the bathroom while the rest of the family took photos. When I came out, they were getting into the SUV. Sophia, we're going to drive around to the other viewing area, my mother had called. Meet us there in 10 minutes. I'd nodded. Started walking toward the other lot. Halfway there, I'd realized I didn't know which lot she meant. Pulled out my phone to call and discovered my battery was dead. I'd walked for 20 minutes, checking multiple parking areas, before finding them. They were laughing when I finally located the SUV. There she is, Jason had announced. We were about to leave without you. I didn't know which lot you meant. We told you. You weren't listening. As usual. The accusation had been unfair. She'd been vague, not specific, but I hadn't argued. Just climbed into the back seat, feeling foolish and frustrated. That was funny, Ashley had said. Watching you wander around looking lost. You were watching me? From the observation deck. You looked so confused. My father had found this hilarious. Classic Sophia. Always in her own world. Doesn't pay attention to anything. I'd felt heat rise in my face. I was paying attention. Mom wasn't clear about. Don't blame your mother for your spacing out. I'd stopped arguing. There was no point. In my family's narrative, I was the one who didn't pay attention, who lived in my own world, who created problems through my inattention. The fact that this narrative was built on incidents they'd engineered didn't seem to matter. And that's when Jason had gotten the idea for an even better prank. We should actually leave her somewhere, he'd said that evening in the hotel. I'd gone to get ice, and when I returned, I heard them talking through the adjoining room door. Just drive off. Ashley's voice excited. That would be hilarious. Not for long. Just long enough to scare her. Teach her to pay more attention. I don't know, my mother had said, but she was laughing. That seems mean. It's not mean. It's a lesson. She needs to learn to keep up with the family. Where would we do it? My father had asked. Considering it. Actually considering it. Gas station somewhere remote. We all go inside, then we pile into the car and leave while she's still paying or something. Circle back after a few minutes. Film her reaction. For TikTok. Ashley had squealed. Oh my God, that would get so many views. I'd stood outside that door, ice bucket in hand, listening to my family plot to abandon me as entertainment. I should have confronted them. Should have opened the door and told them I'd heard everything, that their prank was cruel and not funny. Instead, I'd gone back to my own room. Lay in bed. Thought about the dynamics that had led here. A family that found humor in my discomfort. That saw me as a convenient target rather than a person deserving of respect. And I'd made a decision. If they wanted to abandon me as a prank, I'd let them. And then I'd make it real. The next morning, I'd quietly packed my most important items in my backpack. Laptop. Charger. Headphones. A change of clothes. My book. Not obvious preparation, just the things I'd need if I ended up on my own. I'd left everything else in my larger suitcase in the SUV. Let them think I wasn't expecting anything. 2 days later, at that gas station in Nebraska, the prank unfolded exactly as Jason had planned. We'd stopped for gas and bathroom breaks. Everyone had gone inside. I'd bought chips and used the restroom. When I came out, they were piling into the SUV with suspicious speed. Sophia, you need anything else? My mother had called through the window. No, I'm good. Okay. We'll pull around to get air in the tires. Meet us on that side. She'd pointed vaguely toward the far side of the building. The same setup as Mount Rushmore. The same deliberately vague instruction. The same setup for me to be the confused one who couldn't follow simple directions. Except this time I knew. I'd seen Jason positioning his phone. Seen Ashley giggling. Seen my father already starting the engine. So I'd walked around the building slowly. Given them time to execute their prank. Watched from the corner as they pulled out of the parking lot and onto the highway, laughing at how perfectly they'd fooled me. And I'd stood there, backpack on my shoulders, watching them disappear. 30 seconds turned into a minute. A minute into 5. 5 into 10. They weren't coming back. Either they'd forgotten this was supposed to be a quick scare, or they were committing to the bit harder than planned. Either way, I was alone at a gas station in rural Nebraska with about $40 in cash from the chips purchase and no way to contact anyone. Perfect. I went back inside. The clerk, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes, looked up from her phone. You okay, hon? Saw your people leave without you. Family prank, I said, keeping my voice light. They think they're hilarious. That's rough. They coming back. Eventually. Can I use your Wi-Fi? My phone died. Passwords on the wall by the bathroom. I borrowed a charger from behind the counter, plugged in my phone, and connected to the Wi-Fi. Checked the time. 15 minutes since they'd left. I opened the family group chat. Nothing. No messages. No, got you. Texts. No, we're circling back. Just silence. I opened my banking app. Checked my balance. $3,847. Not a fortune, but enough. Enough to make different choices than the ones my family expected. I pulled up Greyhound's website. The nearest bus station was in North Platte, 30 miles south. Next bus to Denver, 2:15 p.m., 3 hours away. From Denver, I could catch another bus to Seattle. Total trip time, about 30 hours with transfers. Total cost, $180. I booked the ticket. Then I called a local cab company. It took 20 minutes for them to answer, another 40 for the cab to arrive. While I waited, I drafted a text message to the family group chat. I'm not coming back. You wanted to leave me as a prank. I'm making it permanent. Don't look for me. Don't call. I'll collect my things from your house when I'm ready. Consider this my resignation from being your target. I read it 3 times. Revised it twice. Made it shorter, clearer, less emotional. You left me. I'm staying left. Don't contact me. Better. Simple. Final. I waited until the cab arrived, until I was actually driving away from that gas station, before I hit send. Then I turned off my phone. The cab driver was an older man who didn't ask questions. Just drove. Dropped me at the Greyhound station in North Platte with 40 minutes to spare before the bus. I bought coffee from a vending machine. Sat on a plastic bench. Watched people come and go. Families, couples, solo travelers. People living their lives, going places, not trapped in vehicles with people who thought abandoning them was entertainment. My phone was off, but I could imagine the chaos in the group chat. The confusion. The realization that I wasn't where I was supposed to be. The dawning understanding that I'd actually left. Maybe they thought I was joking. Playing along with their prank. Maybe they were driving back to the gas station right now, expecting to find me there, tearful and grateful when they rescued me. They'd find an empty parking lot and a clerk who'd tell them I'd left in a cab hours ago. The bus to Denver was half empty. I claimed a window seat near the back, put in headphones, and watched Nebraska disappear behind me. Flat plains giving way to subtle hills, then the distant suggestion of mountains. I'd been on this route before, years ago. Different direction, different circumstances. But the landscape was the same. The sense of movement, of distance accumulating between me and something I was leaving behind, that was familiar. In Denver, I had a 4-hour layover. Enough time to turn my phone back on briefly, check messages. 47 texts in the family group chat. Mom, Sophia, this isn't funny. Where are you? Jason, come on, it was just a joke. Stop being dramatic. Ashley, we're driving back to get you. Just tell us where you are. Dad, this is childish. You're making everyone worried. Mom, Sophia Marie Martinez, answer your phone right now. Jason, seriously, we're sorry. It was stupid. Just tell us where you are. The messages escalated from confusion to annoyance to actual worry. But nowhere in those 47 texts did anyone actually apologize for the prank itself. No one said, we shouldn't have left you. No one acknowledged that abandoning someone in a rural area as entertainment was cruel. They were just upset that I'd turned their prank around on them. I typed one message, I'm safe. I'm not telling you where I am. I meant what I said. Don't contact me. Then I blocked all their numbers. Blocked them on social media. Blocked them everywhere that allowed blocking. The Denver to Seattle bus left at 11 p.m. I dozed fitfully, waking at every stop, disoriented by the darkness and the unfamiliar faces of passengers boarding and departing. Somewhere in Wyoming, I dreamed about the gas station. But in the dream, I was the one driving away, and my family was standing in the parking lot, watching me leave, finally understanding what it felt like to be abandoned. I woke up as we crossed into Idaho, early morning sun turning the desert gold. 30 hours after leaving that gas station in Nebraska, I walked into my apartment in Seattle. Everything was exactly as I'd left it. My plants somehow still alive despite a week without water. My cat, Mr. Pemberley, furious at the pet sitter's absence, but present and accounted for. Home. Real home. Not the house I'd grown up in, but the space I'd created for myself. The place where no one pranked me or made me feel small or found entertainment in my discomfort. I unpacked my backpack, charged my laptop, sent an email to my boss explaining that I was back early from family obligations and would be in the office tomorrow. Then I sat on my couch, Mr. Pemberley purring in my lap, and thought about what I'd done. I'd abandoned my family during a road trip. Left them to drive to Chicago without me. Missed my cousin's wedding. Caused them worry and stress, and probably ruined the rest of their vacation. And I felt nothing but relief. My phone buzzed. I'd forgotten to block one number. My cousin Andrea, the bride whose wedding was the whole purpose of the trip. Sophia? Your mom called. Said you disappeared? Are you okay? I called her back. Andrea. I'm fine. I'm home in Seattle. What happened? Your mom is freaking out. Said you vanished from a gas station. They left me at a gas station as a prank. I decided not to be found. Silence. Then, wait. They left you? On purpose. Jason's idea. Ashley was filming. My parents went along with it. They thought it was funny. That's fucked up, Sophia. Yeah. So you just left? Came home. Took a bus. Been traveling for 30 hours. Just got home. Are you okay? Like, really okay? It was the first time anyone had asked me that without implying I should be okay, should get over it, should stop being dramatic. Andrea just wanted to know. I think so. I'm tired. But I think I'm okay. Your mom says you're not answering anyone. That you blocked them. I did. Can I ask why? Because this wasn't the first time. It was just the most obvious time. They've been making me the target of their humor for years. I got tired of it. When they literally abandoned me as entertainment, I realized I don't actually have to participate in this anymore. Fair. Do you want me to tell them you're safe? They know I'm safe. I told them. They're just mad I'm not where they can control the narrative. Okay. Well, I'm sorry you're missing the wedding. But I'm not sorry you stood up for yourself. Thanks, Andrea. Sophia? One more thing. Your family's version of events. They're telling people you overreacted to a harmless joke. That you're being dramatic and punishing everyone for nothing. Just so you know. Of course they are. But I believe you. For what it's worth. After Andrea hung up, I thought about the narrative my family was constructing. The sensitive daughter who couldn't take a joke. The dramatic sister who turned a harmless prank into a family crisis. The ungrateful child who abandoned her family over nothing. That narrative would spread through the extended family. Aunts and uncles and cousins would hear that I'd overreacted, been childish, caused unnecessary worry. Some would believe it. Some wouldn't. Either way, I'd become the problem. I was okay with that. Because the alternative was going back. Pretending the prank was funny. Accepting my role as the family target. Spending the rest of my life being the person everyone else got to laugh at. I'd rather be the problem. The next week was strange. I went to work. Came home. Lived my life. But everything felt slightly unreal, like I was waiting for something to catch up with me. My boss, Karen, noticed. You seem distracted. Everything okay? Family stuff. I'm working through it. The trip didn't go well? The trip ended early. By my choice. It's complicated. Do you need time off? We can adjust deadlines. No. Work is good. Work is normal. I need normal right now. She'd nodded, understanding without needing details. My friends, real friends, not work friends, despite what Jason had said, reached out. Invited me to things. Let me talk or not talk. Gave me space to process without judgment. Your family sounds exhausting, my friend Michelle said over coffee. Like, who does that? Who abandons someone as a prank? People who think everything is entertainment. Who don't consider how their actions affect others. And you really blocked them? Completely? Completely. Good. You don't owe people access to you just because you're related. 2 weeks after the gas station, a package arrived at my apartment. My suitcase. The one I'd left in the SUV. My mother had shipped it without a note, without a return address, without any message except the presence of the package itself. I opened it carefully. Everything was there. My clothes. My toiletries. The wedding outfit I'd never worn. All packed neatly, almost tenderly, as if someone had taken care with items belonging to a stranger. At the bottom, under everything else, I found a folded piece of paper. Sophia, we're sorry the joke went too far. We didn't mean to hurt you. We miss you. Please call. Mom. I read it 3 times, looking for the actual apology, the acknowledgement of what they'd done and why it was wrong. Sorry the joke went too far, wasn't that? It was sorry I'd reacted badly. Sorry their prank had consequences. Not sorry for the prank itself. And "we miss you" wasn't the same as "we were wrong." I put the note in a drawer. Didn't respond. 3 weeks after the gas station, my Aunt Caroline called. She'd gotten my number from Andrea. "Sophia, honey, your mother is devastated. Won't you please call her? She has my number. She can call me. She says you blocked her." I did. Don't you think that's extreme? Over a silly prank? "Aunt Caroline, did my mother tell you what the prank was?" "She said they accidentally left you at a gas station. That you got upset." "They didn't accidentally leave me. They planned it. Jason's idea. Ashley filmed it. My parents participated. They drove away and left me in rural Nebraska with no phone and no way to contact anyone. As entertainment. As a joke to post online." Silence. That doesn't sound like something they'd do. But they did do it. And when I chose not to be found, they got upset. Not because they realized the prank was cruel, but because I didn't play my assigned role. I'm sure they didn't mean. "Aunt Caroline, I appreciate you calling. But I'm not interested in reconciling with people who think abandoning me is funny. If my mother wants to talk to me, she can start by actually apologizing instead of just saying she's sorry I was hurt. You're being very hard on them. They left me at a gas station. I'm being exactly as hard as that deserves." I hung up. Blocked her number too. The flying monkeys, that's what Michelle called them. The relatives deployed to pressure me into reconciling, to tell me I was overreacting, to make me feel guilty for having boundaries. More came. My uncle. My grandmother. Various cousins. All with the same message: family is important. I should forgive. I was making things harder than they needed to be. I blocked them all. 2 months after the gas station, my brother Jason showed up at my apartment. I opened the door to find him standing there, looking uncomfortable. "How did you get my address?" "I've always had your address. Can I come in?" "No." "Sophia, come on. Let me talk to you." "We're talking. Out here is fine." He shifted his weight. "Look, I'm sorry about the prank. It was stupid. I didn't think you'd actually bail on the whole family over it." "I didn't bail. You left me. I just chose not to be found. It was supposed to be funny. A quick scare. We were going to circle back. How long were you going to wait? 5 minutes? 10? Long enough for me to panic? Long enough to get good footage for TikTok. It wasn't about TikTok. Ashley said it was. I heard you planning it. The night before, in the hotel. I heard the whole conversation." His face went pale. "You heard us. Every word. So when you executed your well-planned prank, I made my own plan. You wanted to abandon me? Fine. I stayed abandoned. We looked for you for hours. Mom was crying. Dad was furious. You scared everyone. You scared me first. You just didn't expect consequences. It was a joke, Sophia. Jokes are supposed to be funny for everyone." I wasn't laughing. I was standing in a gas station parking lot in the middle of nowhere, watching my family drive away. That's not a joke. That's cruelty. So you're just going to cut us off forever? Over one mistake? It wasn't one mistake. It was the culmination of years of you and Ashley making me your target. Years of Mom and Dad enabling it. Years of me being the problem, the too sensitive one, the person who can't take a joke. I'm done being that person. What do you want? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. We're all sorry. You're sorry I reacted badly. You're not sorry you did it. There's a difference. What's the difference? Sorry is sorry. The difference is understanding why what you did was wrong. Not just regretting that it had consequences. Do you understand why leaving me at a gas station was wrong? Because you got upset. Because you abandoned a family member in an unfamiliar place as entertainment. Because you thought my fear and confusion would be funny. Because you valued content for social media over my safety and dignity. Do you understand that? He looked away. You're making this into a bigger deal than it needs to be. And you're proving why I can't have a relationship with you. You still don't get it. Fine. Stay mad. Stay alone. But don't blame us when you realize you need family. I have family. I have friends who treat me with respect. I have a life that doesn't include people who think I'm a joke. I'm doing fine without you. He left. I closed the door. Sat on my couch, shaking. Mr. Pemberley jumped into my lap. I buried my face in his fur and cried. Not because I regretted my choice, but because it was hard. Because cutting off family was supposed to be dramatic, definitive, clean. Instead, it was messy and sad and required constant reinforcement of boundaries. 3 months after the gas station, I changed my phone number. Didn't give the new one to anyone in my family. Just started fresh. The flying monkeys stopped. The surprise visits ended. The pressure to reconcile evaporated. And I felt lighter. 6 months after the gas station, I got promoted at work. Senior graphic designer. More responsibility, more money, more creative control. Karen took me to lunch to celebrate. You seem different lately. More confident. More present. I cut off my family. Oh, they were making me miserable. I didn't realize how much until I stopped talking to them. And you're okay with that decision? I'm better than okay. I'm thriving. Good. You deserve that. 1 year after the gas station, Andrea got married again. A vow renewal, she called it, though I suspected it was partly an excuse to have the family gathering I'd missed. She invited me. No pressure. Your family will be there. But I want you there too. It's your choice. I thought about it. About seeing them again. About the confrontations, the accusations, the pressure to reconcile. Can I bring someone? A buffer. Bring whoever you want. I brought Michelle. Drove to the wedding in Oregon, where Andrea's husband's family owned a vineyard. Beautiful setting. Intimate ceremony. Reception with wine and laughter and dancing. My family was there. We made eye contact across the reception hall. My mother looked like she wanted to approach. My father looked angry. Jason and Ashley looked uncomfortable. I stayed on the opposite side of the space. Talked to cousins who hadn't chosen sides. Danced with Michelle. Celebrated Andrea without engaging with the people who'd hurt me. Near the end of the evening, my mother cornered me near the bathrooms. Sophia, can we talk? I don't think we have anything to say. Please. It's been a year. I'm your mother. You were my mother. Before you decided abandoning me was funny. It was Jason's idea. And you went along with it. You laughed. You thought it was entertaining. You chose to participate. We made a mistake. You made a choice. And I made mine. I'm not interested in relitigating it. What do you want from me? What would it take to fix this? I thought about that question. What would it take? Actual accountability. Not sorry you were hurt, but sorry we did this terrible thing. Understanding of why it was wrong, not just regret that it had consequences. Changed behavior, not promises to do better. And honestly, Mom, I don't think you're capable of any of that. That's not fair. You left me at a gas station. Fair is not something you get to claim. I walked away. Found Michelle. Left the reception early. In the car, driving back to Seattle, Michelle asked, "How do you feel?" Okay. Sad. But okay. Think you'll ever reconcile? I don't know. Maybe if they actually change. But change requires admitting you were wrong, and I don't think they're there yet. What if they never get there? Then I've lost people who are hurting me anyway. That's not actually a loss. 2 years after the gas station, I bought a house. Small, but mine. A craftsman bungalow in a quiet Seattle neighborhood with a garden I had no idea how to maintain and a porch perfect for morning coffee. I had a housewarming party. Friends. Co-workers. Andrea, who'd stayed in touch. Michelle, who'd become my closest friend. No family. By choice. By boundary. By the understanding that family is who you choose, not just who you're related to. This place is perfect for you, Andrea said, exploring the garden. Your mom would love it. Probably. You ever think about reaching out? It's been 2 years. Sometimes. But then I remember why I left. And I don't miss them enough to accept the behavior that made me leave. That's fair. I just wonder if they've changed. People don't change unless they have to. And they've constructed a narrative where I'm the problem, where I overreacted, where they did nothing wrong. Why would they change if they don't think they did anything wrong? 3 years after the gas station, I met someone. Daniel. A software engineer who loved hiking and cats and understood boundaries because his own family was complicated. We dated for 6 months before I told him the whole story. The road trip. The prank. The decision to stay gone. You walked away from your entire family over a prank, he asked carefully. I walked away from people who thought abandoning me was entertainment. The prank was just the most obvious example of a pattern. Have they tried to contact you? For the first year. Then they stopped. Either they got the message, or they got tired of trying. Do you regret it? Sometimes I regret that it was necessary. But I don't regret the choice itself. Would you ever go back? If they actually changed. Actually acknowledged what they did and why it was wrong. Actually showed me through behavior that they saw me differently. But I'm not holding my breath. What if they don't change? Then I've built a life without them. And it's a good life. I have friends. I have you. I have a job I love and a house I'm proud of and a cat who tolerates me. I'm happy. That's more than I was when I was trying to maintain relationships with people who made me miserable. For years after the gas station, my grandmother died. Cancer, quick and brutal. I found out through Andrea, who called to tell me before someone else did. The funeral is next week. In Seattle, actually. Your mom wants to know if you'll come. I don't know. She says she wants to talk to you. That grandma's death made her realize life is short. That family matters. Family does matter. Which is why I left people who treated me like I didn't. I know. I'm just passing along the message. I went to the funeral. Not for my mother, but for my grandmother, who'd always been kind to me even if she'd never quite understood why I'd left. I sat in the back. Left before anyone could corner me. Sent flowers instead of engaging. My mother found me anyway, in the parking lot. Sophia. Please. Can we just talk? Mom, I came for Grandma. Not for this. Your grandmother would want us to reconcile. Grandma would want you to have treated me better in the first place. We've missed you. For years, Sophia. For years without our daughter. You had 4 years to reflect on why your daughter left. Have you? We made a mistake. You keep saying that. But you've never said what the mistake was. Was it leaving me at the gas station? Or was it years of making me the target? Or was it participating when Jason and Ashley bullied me? Or was it dismissing my feelings every time I tried to tell you something hurt? Which mistake are you acknowledging? All of it. We could have been better. Could have. Past tense. What about will be? What about her being right now? Can you tell me specifically what you did wrong and how you'd do it differently? She opened her mouth. Closed it. Tried again. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to actually understand. Not just perform understanding because Grandma died and you're feeling sentimental. Actually see what you did and why it hurt and commit to being different. But you can't do that, can you? Because that would require admitting you were wrong, not just sorry. You're my daughter. Doesn't that count for something? It did. For 26 years. And then you left me at a gas station. And I realized being your daughter didn't protect me from being your target. So no, Mom. It doesn't count for enough anymore. I got in my car. Drove away. Left her standing in that parking lot the way she'd left me in Nebraska. The symmetry wasn't lost on me. 5 years after the gas station, Daniel and I got married. Small ceremony. Just friends. Andrea. A few cousins who'd stayed neutral. No parents. No siblings. No extended family beyond the few who'd understood why I left and respected my boundaries. Do you wish they were here? Daniel asked the night before the wedding. I wish I had parents who could be here. I wish I had a family that celebrated me instead of diminishing me. But I don't. And I'm not going to ruin our wedding pretending otherwise. The ceremony was perfect. Personal. Intimate. Everything I wanted without the weight of obligation or the fear of being made into entertainment. During the reception, Andrea pulled me aside. Your mom asked me to tell you she's proud of you. That she wishes she could be here. If she wanted to be here, she could have done the work required to be invited. I know. I told her that. She cried. I'm sorry, she said. But her sadness doesn't obligate me to accept behavior I walked away from. I know. I'm just the messenger. 6 years after the gas station, I became an aunt. Not through my siblings, I had no idea if they'd had children, but through choice. Michelle's daughter, born premature but healthy. I was designated emergency contact, backup guardian, chosen family. You're sure about this? Michelle had asked while pregnant. It's a big responsibility. I'm sure. You're my family. That makes her my family. Holding that tiny baby in the hospital, I thought about the family I'd left and the family I'd built. One had made me small. The other let me be whole. 7 years after the gas station, I started therapy. Not because something was wrong, but because I wanted to understand the patterns that had made leaving necessary. Tell me about your family, Dr. Chen said in our first session. I told her about the road trip, the prank, the decision to stay gone, the 7 years of silence since. And how do you feel about that choice now? Good. Mostly. Sometimes guilty, because society says you're supposed to forgive family. But mostly good. What would need to happen for you to reconsider the estrangement? Actual accountability. Specific understanding of what they did wrong. Changed behavior over time, not just promises. And honestly, I'm not sure it's possible. They'd have to admit they were fundamentally wrong about how they treated me. That's a big ask. Is it though? If someone hurt you deeply, isn't acknowledging that hurt the bare minimum? In a healthy relationship, yes. But my family wasn't healthy. The dynamic required me to be small so they could be big. Me changing meant they had to change too. That's threatening. Do you think about them often? Less than I used to. The first year, constantly. Now, occasionally. Usually when something reminds me holidays, family events, moments when I see other families being kind to each other and remember mine wasn't. Do you miss them? I miss the family I wished I had. I don't miss the family I actually had. 8 years after the gas station, my father had a heart attack. Survived, but it was serious. Andrea called to tell me. He's asking for you. Says there are things he needs to say. He's had 8 years to say things. I know. But he's scared, Sophia. Facing mortality. Says he doesn't want to die without making peace with you. His fear of dying doesn't obligate me to absolve him. I'm not saying you should. I'm just telling you he's asking. I thought about it for 3 days. Daniel and I talked it through. Dr. Chen helped me process what reconciliation might look like versus what I actually owed my father. Finally, I called the hospital. Asked to speak with him. He answered, his voice weak. Sophia? Hi, Dad. You called. I didn't think you would. Andrea said you wanted to talk. I did. I do. Sophia, I'm sorry. For everything. For the road trip. For not protecting you from your siblings. For letting your mother make excuses. For all of it. What specifically are you sorry for? The gas station. Leaving you there. That was wrong. We shouldn't have done it. What else? What do you mean? The gas station was the breaking point. But it wasn't the only thing. What else are you sorry for? He was quiet for a long moment. I don't know how to answer that. That's the problem, Dad. You're sorry I left. You're sorry we've been estranged. But you don't actually understand why I left. You don't see the pattern. You just see the final incident. Help me understand then. I took a breath. You let Jason and Ashley bully me. You laughed when they made fun of me. You called me too sensitive when I objected. You prioritized keeping the peace over protecting me. You made me feel like my feelings didn't matter as long as everyone else was comfortable. The gas station was just the moment I realized I didn't have to accept that anymore. We never meant to hurt you. But you did hurt me. Repeatedly. For years. And when I told you it hurt, you dismissed me. That's worse than not meaning to hurt me. That's choosing not to care that you did. What do you want from me? What would fix this? Nothing can fix 8 years of estrangement, Dad. But what would make future relationship possible is you actually understanding what you did wrong. Not just being sorry we're not talking, but understanding why we're not talking. Can you do that? I think so. I'm trying. Trying isn't the same as doing. Call me when you can specifically tell me what you did wrong and why it was wrong. Not just we hurt you, but exactly how and exactly why that matters. Until then, we don't have anything else to discuss. Sophia, I might die. What if I die before we fix this? Then you'll die having never fully understood why your daughter left. That's sad. But it's not my responsibility to absolve you just because you're scared. That's cold. That's honest. I spent 26 years prioritizing your comfort over my well-being. I'm not doing that anymore. Even now. Especially now. I hung up, cried for an hour, called Dr. Chin, who talked me through the guilt. You don't owe deathbed reconciliation, she said. You don't owe forgiveness just because someone is dying. You owe yourself integrity. You held your boundary. That's healthy. My father didn't die. He recovered. Sent me a letter 3 months later. Sophia, I've been thinking about our conversation. About what you said. You were right. I didn't understand. I thought the gas station was the problem. I didn't see all the times before that when we made you feel small. Your mother and I have been talking. We've been going to therapy. We're trying to understand. I can't promise we've figured it all out. But we're trying. If you're willing, I'd like to talk again. No pressure. Just an offer. Dad, it was more than I'd expected. Not everything I needed, but something. Progress. I called him back. We talked for 2 hours. He'd made a list, actual written list of moments where he'd failed me. The gas station. The Mount Rushmore incident. Comments he'd dismissed as jokes that had hurt me. Times he'd prioritized peace over protection. I didn't see it as a pattern, he said. I saw each incident as isolated. But when I wrote them all down, I couldn't deny it anymore. We treated you like you were less important than keeping everyone else happy. That's not okay. No, it's not. Can you forgive us? Maybe. Eventually. But forgiveness isn't the same as reconciliation. I can forgive you and still choose to keep my distance if that's what's healthy for me. What would reconciliation look like? I don't know yet. Right now, it looks like this. Talking honestly about what happened. No more pretending it was just a prank gone wrong. No more dismissing my feelings. No more asking me to forget for the sake of family peace. We can do that. We are doing that. With me, maybe. What about with each other? Are you and Mom still dismissing each other's feelings? Are Jason and Ashley still making people their targets? He was quiet. Your mother and I are working on our communication. Jason and Ashley, that's harder. They're adults. I can't control them. I'm not asking you to control them. I'm asking if the family system that produced this dysfunction has actually changed or if I'm just getting special treatment because I left. I don't know how to answer that. Then you don't know enough to promise change. And I don't know enough to risk coming back. 9 years after the gas station, Daniel and I had a daughter. Emma. Perfect and tiny and everything I'd never known I wanted. Are you going to tell your family? Daniel asked in the hospital. I don't know. Part of me wants to. Part of me thinks they don't deserve to know. They're her grandparents. Biologically. But grandparents are earned through relationship. They don't have one with me. They definitely don't have one with her. I posted one photo on social media. Just Emma's tiny hand wrapped around my finger. Caption: Our family grew by one. Andrea commented immediately, congratulations. She's beautiful. So did Michelle and work friends and Daniel's family. My mother commented 3 hours later, congratulations, Sophia. I wish I could meet her. I didn't respond. 2 days later, a package arrived. Baby clothes. Expensive, carefully chosen. A card for Emma. We'd love to meet her when you're ready. No pressure. Just love. Grandma and Grandpa. Daniel found me crying in the nursery, surrounded by tiny onesies. What's wrong? They sent clothes. They're being respectful. They're doing everything right. And I still don't trust them. That makes sense. Trust is rebuilt slowly. They hurt you badly. You're allowed to be cautious. But what if they really have changed? What if I'm keeping Emma from grandparents who could love her because I can't let go of the past? Or what if they haven't changed and you're protecting your daughter from people who hurt you? Both are possible. You don't have to decide right now. I kept the clothes. Sent a brief thank you. Didn't offer a meeting. 3 months later, my father asked if they could visit. Just for an afternoon. No expectations beyond meeting their granddaughter. I said yes, with conditions. You come here. You stay for 2 hours maximum. You don't criticize my parenting. You don't make jokes at my expense. You don't bring Jason or Ashley. And if I ask you to leave, you leave immediately without argument. We agree. Thank you for this chance. They came on a Sunday afternoon. Both older than I remembered. My father slower after the heart attack. My mother's hair completely gray now. They held Emma carefully, cooed over her, asked appropriate questions about feeding and sleeping. Didn't overstay. Didn't cross boundaries. She's beautiful, my mother said as they were leaving. You're a wonderful mother. Thank you. Can we come again? In a few months maybe? Maybe. Let me think about it. After they left, I felt exhausted. Not bad, exactly. Just drained by the performance of normalcy with people who'd hurt me so badly. How was it? Dr. Chin asked in our next session. Fine. They were respectful. Appropriate. Everything they should have been. But I couldn't relax. I was hyper-vigilant the whole time, watching for signs of the old patterns, waiting for someone to make a joke at my expense or dismiss my parenting or do something that reminded me why I left. That's normal. Trust is rebuilt slowly through consistent behavior over time. One good visit doesn't erase 9 years of estrangement. How many good visits does it take? There's no formula. Just keep checking in with yourself. Do you feel safe? Do you feel respected? Do you want them in your life, or do you feel obligated? Those feelings will tell you what you need to know. They visited 3 more times over the next year. Each visit was fine, appropriate, boundaried. But I never fully relaxed, never fully trusted. 10 years after the gas station, I took Emma to a park. A family was having a picnic nearby, parents, 3 kids, all laughing and playing together. The parents were attentive. The kids were kind to each other. No one was being made into the target. I watched them and felt something shift. I wasn't grieving for my lost family anymore. I was grateful for the one I'd built. That evening, I called my father. I need to tell you something. Okay. I appreciate the work you and Mom have done. The therapy, the respectful visits, the effort to understand. But I don't think we're going to have the relationship you want. Why not? We've been doing everything you asked. I know. And I'm grateful. But trust isn't just about present behavior. It's about the foundation beneath that behavior. And our foundation is broken. You hurt me badly. For a long time. And while you've been respectful recently, I don't think I can ever feel safe with you the way a daughter should feel safe with her parents. We can't undo the past. No. And I'm not asking you to. I'm just being honest about what's possible. We can have limited contact, occasional visits, holiday cards. But the close relationship you want, I don't think I can give you that. Too much damage was done. He was quiet for a long moment. Is this your final decision? It's my current truth. I'm not slamming the door completely. But I'm not pretending we can rebuild something that was fundamentally broken either. What about Emma? Doesn't she deserve to know her grandparents? She'll know you the way I decide is safe and appropriate. That might be twice-a-year visits. That might be more. That might be less. But I'm not giving you unlimited access to my daughter because of blood relation. You earn access through trustworthy behavior over time. That's painful to hear. It's painful to say. But it's honest. And honesty is the only foundation that matters. After I hung up, Daniel found me in Emma's nursery. You okay? I think so. I just set a boundary I should have set a year ago. What boundary? That having limited contact doesn't mean we're working toward full reconciliation. That I'm allowed to have boundaries permanently, not just temporarily while I heal. That they don't automatically get to be fully involved grandparents just because they're being respectful now. How do you feel? Relieved. I've been carrying the weight of their expectations. Feeling guilty that their behavior is better, but my trust isn't coming back fast enough. This conversation released that. I'm allowed to have permanent boundaries even with people who've improved. 11 years after the gas station, Jason reached out. Not through flying monkeys or surprise visits. Through a proper email. Sophia, I know it's been years. I know I don't have the right to ask for your time. But I'm in therapy now. Working through some things. And I'm realizing how badly I treated you. The gas station was wrong. But it was also just the most visible example of years of me making you my target. I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect relationship. I just wanted you to know I see it now. And I'm sorry. Jason. I read it 5 times. Showed it to Dr. Chen. What do you think? She asked. I think it's a better apology than I ever expected from him. But I don't know if it's enough. Enough for what? To risk letting him back in. Even a little. You don't have to decide that right now. You can acknowledge his apology without committing to relationship. I wrote back, Jason, thank you for the apology. I appreciate you taking responsibility. I'm not ready for more than that right now. Maybe someday. But I need to protect myself and my family first. I hope you continue the work you're doing. Sophia. He responded, I understand. I don't blame you. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you for protecting yourself. I should have been a better brother. I'm working on being a better person. I cried reading that. Not because it fixed anything, but because it was the first time in my life Jason had said something that acknowledged my worth instead of diminishing it. 12 years after the gas station, I wrote about my experience. Published it as an essay in an online magazine about family estrangement and boundaries. Used pseudonyms. Changed identifying details. But told the essential truth. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of comments from people who'd experienced similar dynamics. Adult children who'd been scapegoated. Family members who'd been made into targets. People who'd walked away and been called dramatic, ungrateful, unforgiving. Thank you for writing this, one comment said. I've been no contact with my family for 3 years and everyone acts like I'm crazy. This made me feel less alone. Another, my family abandoned me as a prank too. Different circumstances, but same cruelty. I thought I was overreacting. Your essay showed me I wasn't. And one that made me cry, I'm a parent who messed up. Who made one child the target. Who didn't see it until they left. Your essay helped me understand what my daughter experienced. Thank you. That last comment made me think of my parents. Of the work they'd done. Of the limited relationship we'd built. It wasn't enough for full reconciliation. But it was something. Something more than I'd expected 12 years ago, standing in that gas station parking lot, watching them drive away. 13 years after the gas station, Emma asked about my family. She was 4 now. Old enough to notice that she had one set of grandparents who were very present, Daniel's parents, and another set she saw twice a year. Why don't we see Grandma Margaret and Grandpa Robert more? How do you explain family estrangement to a 4-year-old? Sometimes grown-ups have disagreements. Grandma and Grandpa and I had a big disagreement a long time ago. We're working on it, but we need to take things slowly. Did you have a fight? Yes. A big one. Did you say sorry? I didn't need to say sorry. I didn't do anything wrong. They needed to say sorry to me. And they did. But saying sorry doesn't always fix everything right away. Oh. She thought about this. Are they nice to you now? They're trying to be. And that's good. But I'm still being careful. Okay, can I have a snack? And just like that, the conversation was over. 4-year-olds have remarkable emotional range, but brief attention spans. But her questions stayed with me. Were my parents nice to me now? Yes. They were respectful, boundaried, appropriate. Was it enough? For twice-a-year visits. For holiday cards. For a limited relationship that protected me while giving Emma some connection to that side of her family. But not for the close relationship they wanted. Not for what most people meant by family. And I was okay with that. 15 years after the gas station, I drove through Nebraska. Not the same route. We were going to Colorado for vacation, different highway entirely. But Nebraska nonetheless. We passed a gas station. Small, rural, the kind of forgotten place that could have been the one from 15 years ago. Emma, now 6, asked, "Can we stop? I need to use the bathroom." Sure. We pulled off. Used the bathroom. Bought snacks. Got back in the car. Everyone ready? I asked, hand on the ignition. Ready. Emma and Daniel chorused. And we drove away. Together. All of us. No one left behind. That night in the hotel, Daniel asked, "Did you think about it? The gas station from 15 years ago. How did you know? You were quiet after we left. And you double-checked that Emma was buckled in even though you'd already checked once." I thought about it. About standing in a place like that, watching my family drive away. About the choice I made to stay gone. Any regrets? No. That moment was the beginning of my actual life. The life I chose instead of the one I was assigned. Everything good I have now, you, Emma, my career, my friends, my peace, started with that choice to not be found. Your parents have been asking to visit more often. 3 times a year instead of 2. I know. What are you going to say? I'm going to say 2 times a year works for us. That I appreciate their effort, but I'm not expanding our relationship right now. That boundaries aren't punishments. They're just what I need to stay healthy. And if they push, then they prove they still don't understand. That they still think their comfort matters more than my safety. And I'll know I'm making the right choice by keeping them at a distance. He kissed my forehead. You know what I love about you? What? You choose yourself. Even when it's hard. Even when people pressure you. Even when guilt tries to override your boundaries. You choose yourself. I had to learn how. Nobody taught me that. I taught myself, starting 15 years ago at a gas station in Nebraska. 20 years after the gas station, both my parents were gone. My mother died at 73. My father 2 years later at 76. We'd maintained our twice-a-year visits until their health declined. Emma knew them as distant but kind grandparents who sent cards and small gifts. At my mother's funeral, Ashley approached me. We hadn't spoken in 2 decades. Sophia, I'm glad you came. Of course I came. I wasn't sure you would. After everything. After you helped plan to abandon me as entertainment? She flinched. I was young. Stupid. You were 21. Old enough to know better. I'm sorry. I should have said that years ago. I'm sorry for the gas station. For filming it. For thinking it was funny. For all the times before that when I made you feel small. I'm sorry. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was 41 now. Older. Tired. Carrying her own burdens. Thank you for the apology. Is it too late? To have a relationship? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. Too much time has passed. Too much hurt happened. But I appreciate you apologizing. Mom talked about you before she died. Said letting you go was her biggest regret. Said she understood why you left but wished she'd done better. She did do better. Eventually. It just wasn't enough to undo the damage. Do you think we could try? Not to be close like we would have been. Just to be something. I thought about it. About my life, full and rich with chosen family and hard-won peace. About whether there was room for a sister who'd hurt me but was trying to make amends. We can exchange emails. See how it goes. But Ashley, I need you to understand, I'm not obligated to rebuild a relationship just because you're ready for one now. My healing required distance. I'm not giving that up just because time has passed. I understand. Email is good. Email is a start. We exchanged addresses. I never used hers. She never used mine. Sometimes starts don't go anywhere, and that's okay too. 25 years after the gas station, Emma got married. She'd grown into a confident, grounded woman who knew her worth and chose people who saw her value. At the reception, she gave a toast. I want to thank my mom for teaching me the most important lesson of my life, that you don't owe anyone access to you just because you're related. That family is built through respect and choice, not obligation and guilt. Mom walked away from a family that hurt her and built a new one that loved her. She taught me that's not just okay, it's brave. Thank you, Mom, for being brave enough to choose yourself. And thank you, Dad, for choosing her right back. I cried through the entire toast. Daniel held my hand. Michelle, my maid of honor at my own wedding 20 years earlier, squeezed my shoulder. After the reception, Emma asked, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd stayed? If you'd let them find you at that gas station?" Sometimes. But I know what would have happened. I would have learned that pranks that hurt me were acceptable. That my objections didn't matter. That family could treat me however they wanted because family is forever. And instead I learned that I'm worth protecting. That boundaries are healthy. That walking away from dysfunction isn't abandonment, it's self-preservation. And I got to raise you knowing those things from the start. I'm glad you left. Me too, baby. Me too. 30 years after the gas station, I stood in a museum looking at an exhibit about road trips. Vintage cars. Old maps. Photos of families cramped in vehicles, heading toward adventures. One photo showed a gas station. Rural. Small. The kind of forgotten place where someone could be left behind. I stood looking at that photo for a long time, remembering the girl I'd been 30 years ago. 26. uncertain, conditioned to accept treatment she didn't deserve because family was supposed to be forever. That girl had made a choice in a gas station parking lot in Nebraska. A choice that looked impulsive, but was actually the culmination of 26 years of realizing she was worth more than she was getting. She'd chosen herself. And everything that came after, the hard years of rebuilding, the therapy, the boundaries, the chosen family, the marriage, the daughter, the peace, all of it started with that choice. I pulled out my phone, took a picture of the museum photo, sent it to Emma with a message. 30 years ago today, I stood in a place like this and changed my entire life. Best decision I ever made. She responded immediately, "Love you, Mom. Proud of you every day." If you've ever been left behind by family, literally or metaphorically, know this. You don't have to be found. You don't have to go back. You don't have to forgive people who hurt you just because time has passed or they've improved or they're dying. You're allowed to choose yourself. To build a life that works for you. To create family from people who actually treat you like family should. I walked away from a gas station 30 years ago. And I never went back. It was the right choice then. It's still the right choice now. And I'd make it again in a heartbeat.